It's time for a best of 5 series from the Esports World Cup qualifiers. A Zerg versus Protoss that I've heard is a lot of fun, so let's find out together exactly what ended up going down. In game number 1, we find ourselves on Oceanborn. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the red Protoss pieces, we have none other than STATS, of course, from South Korea, and his opponent from Poland with the blue Zerg drones. He goes by the name of Elazer. I feel like Elazer versus STATS is just a fun matchup. It's two different regions that don't really get to play against each other all too often. Two different play styles as well. Should be fun. Should be an interesting match for sure. And right from the get-go, it looks like Elazer is going to be able to... Okay. No, just barely not. No. 300 minerals on the dot right now. So the one thing to note, right, is that there is going to be a little bit of ping between these two. I would imagine that these games are played on the North American server, so both of them probably have a ping of about 180, maybe 200 or so. Depends on what server they play on. Usually when you play a series between Korea and Europe, the players will alternate between NA West and then NA Central, just to make the ping as even as possible, but that's really the only downside of players, well, from all over the globe competing against one another. And obviously, in some matchups, it's worse than others. I can imagine in this matchup, if you, I don't know, have like Ling Bane, for example, that might be really difficult to play against as Protoss, and likewise, Disruptors would be quite difficult, I think, to dodge for Zerg, but overall, this is a matchup that should be quite playable with a little bit of ping. Now, STATS, of course, a very defensive player. The last few times I've seen him play, I have been very impressed. STATS seems to have been making a lot of improvements. Back earlier this year, in February, he was qualified for IEM Katowice, and he got destroyed. Yeah, I don't really want to. I don't really want to beat around the bush. He didn't really perform nearly as well as I think he would have liked to as well. He managed to qualify for the event, so clearly he did have some of his old skills still there. But it seems to me that after that tournament, he's really stepped it up. STATS has gotten significantly better in the 4 or 5 months or so since then. And apparently now he's got a chance at, well, qualifying for the Esports World Cup, which would be a very nice treat for him for sure. Same, of course, for Elazer. Elazer also trying his very best to make it to what is considered to be the biggest tournament that we've ever had in StarCraft 2, at least as far as the prize pool goes. $1 million on the line. Kind of amazing that 14 years after this game released, we get the biggest prize pool ever. In a very strange way, though, we don't really know what's going to happen to StarCraft 2 after the EWC. So, like, there haven't, like, other than like a Home Story Cup and I know the WTL and stuff, they will probably continue too. But in a very strange way, we don't really know what's going to happen after the August event, which would be kind of crazy if we, you know, don't get a renewal, I guess, of another competitive season at the highest level after a $1 million prize pool, which is like several $100,000 more than we've ever had historically. Anyways, that'll be a discussion for another time. Usually, by the way, at this point in the competitive season, they have not yet announced any sort of quote-unquote renewal. So there have been some moments in the past where there has been like a 3-month deal, for example. That was a thing back in the day. Anyways, first Oracle rather, swoops in. Gets a couple kills. Additional Queen just popped out, but that really wasn't worthwhile on that Oracle at all. Now, usually, we get the renewal after the quote-unquote last tournament has been played. So, I guess we'll find out together whether or not we're gonna get more seasons of the game. I hope so. Honestly, StarCraft 2 is such a good game right now. Balance-wise, I also feel like we are, once again, very close to pretty much perfect control. Yeah, perfect balance. Alright. So, let's see. Honestly, this is not a good start here for STATS whatsoever. Killing 2 drones. Killing 2 drones with 3 oracles, one of them very low in hit points. Yeah, they're all over the map. Maybe these adepts can sort of help out, but obviously Elazer plays against a lot of Protoss players from the European region. And this is a style that you see very frequently in Europe. So I don't think he's really going to be caught off guard against this sort of thing at all. He's already anticipating a transition towards a bunch of stalkers. 4th base at the bottom of the map. Double forge actually for stats. So that's kind of cute. Double forge is not quite the norm. Normally you would go for a Twilight Council together with a forge. Are you going to be the gateway man, stats? We'll probably still see a Twilight Council here in a moment, but... Oh. Oracle's trying to see if they can get the kill on the 4th, and they will. Fair enough. A lot of energy wasted, though, on these guys. 75 minerals. I guess it's okay. He killed the drone as well. But really, not an exchange to write home about. There's the Twilight Council, double robo as well. There's the double upgrades. Okay. Interesting follow-up. So, most of the time, Protosses will try and like layer the aggression, right? So you get the aggression with the oracles, and then the adepts and the oracles, and then the next one is going to be a bunch of stalkers, or maybe like zealots accompanied with charge and then also archons. This is very different right now from stats. So his early game didn't really do that much. Elazer is making a dropper lord right now. Yeah, he's going mass gateway. Look at this. So double upgrades into a delayed Twilight Council, into double robo, and then a crap ton of gateways. Okay. Maybe this is a way to try and still squeeze out an advantage. It's not like you're really super far behind, but you are looking to deal some more damage than what Stats has done so far. Here's the Overlord drop. Just 5 Zerglings in total, really not that much. But it's gonna hang out in the corner. The Oracles are not gonna have an easy time. Roach transition coming up, and now a +1 missile. So after +1 melee, Elazer going into the +1 missile upgrade. He also made a expansion over here on the right. Pretty much a double expo. But he's not droning up those bases yet. Instead, he's just making a lot of roaches and a lot of Zerglings. Another Dropper Lord coming up. I think he's looking to see if he can shove for the win. Yeah. So a poor early game for Protoss usually leads towards Zerg aggression. I think Overlord drops are really quite good, especially with Queens. But this is quite late. Normally these drops hit a little earlier than that. Elazer going for a delayed variant. And in the meantime, Stats is already finishing 1-1. He's already gone into 2-2. This is not the time to go for a 4th Nexus, Stats. Okay, he disagrees. Yeah, he's just about to be met with what is effectively a Zerg all-in, or at the very least a push here from Elazer that needs to deal damage. He just put down 1 creep tumor, by the way. Yeah. There's Brenda again. Is there enough for Elazer to just straight up push through this? There's a lot of Immortals. The Protoss units are properly upgraded. Yeah, I think Elazer has more than enough. Yeah, I say that. There's a lot of gateways, obviously, so he can reinforce this quite quickly. Economy here for the Zerg is pretty much identical to that of the Protoss. So he does need to do some sort of damage. Supplies-wise, this... Oh, okay. Supply-wise, this is still looking good for Stats. Yeah, and he actually does defend this. You know what? As soon as he finishes 2-2... he's gonna line up one hell of a timing attack, right? Like, this is gonna hit super hard. Archon Immortal with a whole lot of gateway units. Yep. Triple Chrono once again. He could go for a 4th base as well, and historically that is something Stats really likes to do. But I think he's gonna hit a very significant power spike. 2 upgrades ahead of the opponent. Quite uncommon in this matchup. Elazer is transferring drones towards those outer bases when his main apparently ran out. Or some of the mineral fields at the very least are running out. Okay. I really like that follow-up actually from Stats. The double forts into delayed Twilight and then double robo mass gateway. I think it's pretty cool. I wonder if that's specifically something he's doing because his oracles and adepts didn't really get that much done. Honestly, but Elazer killing this base again or forcing the council, I think he's ultimately triggering an all-out assault here from Stats, isn't he? Elazer is going to be the one, though, who will once again see if he can move in. Zergling drop in the main base. Okay, this is a lot of Zerg. But this is now effectively an all-in again, though, from Elazer. It's like a second layer to the all-in. If the Banelings roll into the Archons, it's going to be amazing for stats. Battery overcharge is going to be a necessity here at some point. Nice pickup control here, though. By stats GG? Or GF? Girlfriend? Good fight? Probably just accidentally fat-fingered his hotkey. That's what happened here. Very well done right here by stats. It's going to be our Protoss who wins game number 1. Post Youth. It's going to be our second map in this best of 5 series. Hey, stats, you know what's even better than Double Forge? No, okay, maybe Triple Forge is a bit much. I'm just saying, I think the follow-up there is really cool, and it seems to be within character. Generally speaking, Stats is a very defensive player. He's known as the Shield of Ire for a good reason. Yeah, I think the Double Forge follow-up is really, really strong. Honestly, you never really had to go across the map in that game, right? Like, the only units you really sent across were the Oracles and then the Adepts. Ooh, alright. Elazer opting to go for a gold base first. Alrighty. Bringing a little bit of spice right here. This is gonna get scouted early. Stats. That was so obvious. Hold up, I'm gonna look at that from the Zerg's point of view again. That was almost like a comedic double take right there from that probe. Like a little cartoon. I'm pretty sure that was within range, though, of the... Was it not? Maybe it not. Okay, this is where the hatchery... No? Okay. It was barely outside of the vision range right there of the hatch. Let us see. Ooh. Alright. Stats really enjoying the power of the Forge today. This will not be for upgrades, though. This will be for photon cannons. So the plan right here for Stats is to cannon rush the gold. Yep. Now Elazer did send his second Overlord in the direction of this, and he does see it. He sees it. Do you pull drones? Maybe not yet? I mean, he's got vision of it right now. I think you have to pull drones. If it is not a photon cannon rush, you just mine out the golden minerals. Yep, there we go. 6 workers coming in. It takes 4 workers here to kill a building photon cannon. So he's got more than enough DPS. He's got to dedicate all 6 of them, and he'll probably shift queue to the next one. Yep, exactly. That's a pylon over here, so not something he really has to worry about. And keep in mind that this is all on a timer until links hit the battlefield. 4 of them are coming. Queen's over at the gold. Very well handled right here by Elazer, who now finds himself very far ahead. Yeah, Stats is doubling down. A bad build. Yeah. As soon as you get spotted, you basically have to give up on it. I mean, unless... We could make a spine crawler as well, Elazer. I don't think that would be a terrible idea. Nah. The links just deal so much damage. There's no way. I mean, the last 30 seconds of this have gone better for Stats than, you know, I expected it to be, but it's still a bit of a disaster. Killing 4 drones is nice and all, but obviously he doesn't have a base of his own. Golden minerals are coming in right now. Okay, for Elazer. And apparently Stats is looking at the situation as well, and he immediately taps out. Alcyone is going to be our 3rd game in this best of 5 series. There's a gold base on this map too, Elazer. It's right over here. Gotta mine out the skinny little mineral field and then bada bing, bada boom. Yes! Bada bing, bada boom, baby! Alright, we're actually doing it. Well, Stats, are we gonna do a back-to-back cannon rush? I mean, he's gonna check. There's no way Stats is not going to check. He's played this map a gajillion times. Oh, I thought for a second he was going for his opponents. Yeah, Stats is somebody who will check for these sort of things every single time. So he's gonna see the gold base. I mean, I think this position for photon cannons is better. Right? Because you're kind of tucked away, and you can't really get like a full 6 workers around on your photon cannon like that. Yep, Forge again. Back-to-back cannon rush here for stats. Very uncommon. But it's a reaction, more so than a build order, right? That he started the game off with. So here's the second Overlord. Overlord is gonna find this nice and early once again. Spotting pool coming up. Elazer may assume here that it's a fake. It's a little bit of rock, paper, scissors, but I think the probe's positioning here makes it quite obvious that we are gonna see photons here. Yep. I think if you put a second one down, which you can do right now, yep, this one is basically done. There's also a Zealot. Double Zealot. I don't think you need double Zealot. Anyways. Okay, instant cancel on the hatchery. Instant cancel as well as a follow-up on the photon cannons. So as the dust settles, there's just a random pylon in the middle of the map. Okay. Yeah. Elazer following this up with triple hatch now. So he's decided to give up on the gold and just go instantly from a hatchery into another hatchery. Now suddenly we're playing a very dynamic game though, because how do you follow this up right here as stats? I think this is a lot more comfortable actually for the Zerg to play than it is for the Protoss. Because Zerg will happily drone up, and it'll be up to stats to do some sort of aggression. Do you use this pylon over here maybe to like warp in adepts? Do you want to go into glaives? Probably not. Stargate is coming up. Stats is currently using the second pylon as a way to supply his army. Not a very reliable pylon, but it'll work for now. That's why the photon cannon, or sorry, the Stargate over here is very visible. Protoss will likely get spotted here in a moment, as soon as Elazer is afraid of it, but Elazer just making a bunch of queens, and queens are obviously the main answer to any sort of oracle play. I would imagine that this is going to be an oracle. Hard to say as well though, under how much pressure stats really feels here. Because sometimes these triple hatch follow-ups will be a link flood. Because he knows that the Protoss side of the map is not going to be particularly well protected. Overlord indeed does see exactly what's going on. Elazer knows that the tech structure has to be attached to the first pylon. So it's an easy scout for him. No link flood though. No link flood. Okay. Yeah, so we just have a nice little macro game now. A nice little macro game where all of the timings are all out of whack. Stats is actually gonna hit a supply block here. Starts up a third Nexus, okay. And another pylon, I would imagine. Yeah. Pretty big supply block, but I don't think there's a whole lot the Zerg can do to capitalize on this. First Oracle goes across the map. Mostly just hindering Stats' worker production at this point, and apparently he's decided to not go for double forts on the back of this, but instead just follow it up with a Twilight Council. And I'm assuming he'll go for the +1 upgrade here in a moment in that forge. Okay. I like the timing of the third Nexus actually. The fact that Stats decided to make that Nexus while supply blocked. It's a decision that can backfire pretty hard, but I think in this circumstance, it really does make sense. It just means that the supply block lasts longer. But it should be okay. Ooh, we're going glaives. Really? Okay, that surprises me, because he already had to make the forge. I mean, you can still go for a +1 upgrade, but adepts don't really benefit from it as much. Not at least against Zerglings. Unless Elazer decides to skip the Roachborn, which I would be quite surprised by. Ooh, Stasis Ward in the main. No reaction. That's about 5 or 6 drones stuck in stasis. And that should hinder the income of the Zerg just a little bit. Yep. Nosedive immediately right there as far as the income advantage goes. It's a little bit ambitious for the second one. I think I would have preferred a charge follow-up with like +1, or maybe even blink with +1. I don't think that would be a bad choice. If you already are forced to make it, I don't think it's a terrible idea. Anyways, we don't have a Roachborn, so Zerglings are the name of the game right here. And this is Resonating Glaives finishing up, which is a 40% attack speed improvement for these Adepts. Adepts are already very good against Lings. It's done right now. Good surround though by Elazer. Snatches these units as they try to get into the natural expansion. Wow. Actually, defending a Glaives push with only Lings is really tough. If he loses no drones, that's an amazing advantage for Elazer. Yeah, I think an Archon Zealot push would have been lethal. Especially with Elazer skipping the Roachborn. I mean, there's a lot of lost mining time, I suppose, so he's achieving something here. Could be Dark Templar on the back of this. So killing the Spore Crawler, or at least threatening to kill the Spore Crawler, is quite nice. But none of that is really the case here for stats. We have another big stasis over here, though. So if it wasn't for these stasis wards, I think this would have been a very substantial advantage for Elazer. He's lost a lot of potential mining time here, several times now. He did make the gold base again. 3 o'clock base also built, and apparently we're gonna go all the way up to about 80 workers. Hydra then together with a Baling Nest on the back of this. That does mean that Zerg is still several minutes away from actually having a powerful army. But is there anything stats can do to capitalize on it? I don't think so. I think we're gonna probably see a 4th Nexus here in just a moment as well from stats. Yeah, you can see that all of those timings that Protoss is used to, they're kinda out of whack here. I think we'll probably see him mining out these mineral fields. He's got so much money. Stats, what are we doing? We're going for another Robo. We're going into a Templar Archives. We're going into Charge. Yeah, nothing here really is in sync with anything. Stats is all the way up to 1100 minerals here for a while now. He's been over 1,000 minerals for some time. And this means that Elazer can do whatever he likes. Elazer is not making such macro mistakes. He's probably wondering as well when that 4th Nexus is coming. He may very well make the assumption that the base is already taken. He's going to scan for it right now. Yep. It is not. So at this point, you kind of expect that it's likely going to be an all-in here for the Protoss player, like a second layer. But considering how early the 3rd Nexus was after the cannon rush, the 4th Nexus right now is equally late. It's going to be Storm right here, together with High Templar. These Adepts are going to try and shade in, but good defense again from Elazer, who's now all the way up to 87 workers, making non-stop army. I think Elazer is probably going to go for a timing attack, although he does need to start up the muscular augments research, which is the speed improvement for those Hydralisks. Important upgrade, not to forget about, but maybe he's actually just using up the gas at this point for more army and more Banelings. Baneling speed is about, maybe 90% or so of the way done. +1 missile as well coming up. Zerg timings are also out of whack, but look at the supply count. And this is not an army. We're going, okay, 95 drones here. This is not a Zerg army that is stuck with a lot of roaches, right? This is a Hydraling Bane army, which is significantly more efficient as far as the supply count goes for the Zerg than roaches would be. Elazer is ready to play the Swarm. No Hive transition. No Lurkers. Just a lot of Hydra Ling. 95 drones here to support basically non-stop aggression from the Zerg moving forward. There's a limited amount of storms available. There's like 1 or 2 more, that's it. Yeah, good defense here by stats, but I think he just doesn't have the numbers. That's the issue. Zealots trying to see if they can go around. Zerg's been making non-stop army for a while. And I don't think you can really, like, even with super efficient trades like what Stats is doing here, I just don't think you can fight this Zerg economy. No, this is a result from the early game not being as good as it could have been. Elazer now the one who's sitting on a lot of resources. He's lacking larva here, so his 95 worker economy is nice, but he doesn't have enough larva to really supply it all. Wouldn't mind seeing a couple of macro hatcheries. Zealot run by. Wow, and he actually lets go of the aggression. That surprises me a bit. He could have killed the Nexus at the very least. I think the aggression here is actually making the multitasking quite tricky. So Elazer all the way up to 559 average actions per minute. But apparently it's not quite enough to stop with, well, to deal with all of the multitasking. I mean, this game is in the bag though for Elazer. I don't see how he's gonna give this up. Unless we're gonna see the storms of a lifetime and the entire Zerg army stasis. Even then, I think it's gonna be really difficult. Yeah, he just doesn't have enough larvae. Rather than going macro hatcheries, he's just building bases all over the map. There is no Overseer here in the mix. Okay, that's the first stasis ward popped. Second stasis ward actually as well. Okay, threatens the storms. Baits them out. Banelings moving in once again. Backing off once more. Zerglings and Banelings are triggering whatever they can. One more storm available, I would imagine. No, not even enough energy. Now he does. Big Zealot counterattack in the meantime on the other side of the map. This may very well draw some of that Zerg army back home. Yeah, some of the Hydras are coming. Stats making the best of a very bad scenario. Prism ends up going down. Quite a few drones are dying here though, and this is mostly due to the fact that Elazer doesn't have enough minerals. Or sorry, he doesn't have enough larvae to spend his minerals. He could make spine crawlers, he could do whatever. But preferably you just don't miss your injects. You know what? Stats actually just killed so much. Reducing Elazer's economy right now to just 69 workers. Which I think is quite nice. But Elazer disagrees as he makes another 10. Okay. We're 13 minutes though into a game, and that means that the natural is going to be running out. The main base will be running very low as well. So Stats remakes this base at the bottom. This is certainly Elazer's game to lose, but looks to me like he's managing. Okay, that sounds mean, but there's definitely some very significant blunders. The man's been sitting at over 2,000 resources now for some time, just unable to generate the larvae he needs. Ultimately though, with the extra hatcheries finishing up and the reduced worker count, he should easily be able to still overwhelm the Protoss, but there's a lot of good choke points here for Stats to defend. There are some photon cannons over here at the front. You can see that Stats really shines when he's playing defensively. No transition from Elazer into anything else. Another good storm. Another nice stasis. There's some Zerg army as well on the left side of the map. This base is do or die though, absolutely critical. Banelings ready to roll into that mineral line over here. Another nice engagement here at the bottom of the map. Banelings! Oh, no reaction from Stats. He's got his camera at the bottom of the map. So there's more of those units going down. 17 probes down the drain. Stats making this a competitive match. But ultimately, I think the Swarm will prevail. There's just not enough. There's just not enough Protoss. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on good old site Delta. I've fast forwarded through the first 2 minutes of the game because there was no cannon rush. Yeah. No back-to-back-to-back cannon rush. How sad. That's because there's no golden minerals on this map. There's not even a rich Vespian geyser. This is as stock standard as maps come, actually. I think this is probably the most standard map right now. Let me see. What are the win-loss ratios on this map at the tournament level? Site Delta. I've seen so many games on Site Delta. I'm about ready for a new map pool, personally, but... Okay, so Zerg against Protoss has a 51% advantage for Zerg. Protoss versus Terran has a 52% advantage for Protoss. Terran versus Zerg has a 47% win rate for Terran. So overall, good map for Zerg. It's one of the maps, I guess, that Terrans like to veto, but overall, it's definitely close to 50-50. I'm not expecting we're gonna see any map pool changes until after the World Cup. That would just be mean. Surprise! Biggest prize pool ever in 2 weeks. New map pool. No. Even if that were to happen for the latter games, they would play the tournament on the old map pool. No, I don't suspect we're gonna see any map pool changes until probably September or so. Maybe late August, something like that. Alrighty. What's that, Jimmy? Sorry, Jimmy? 3,000 likes? Jimmy says 3,000 likes on this video and I'll upload another one? Okay, well, Jimmy, that's ambitious. But, we'll see if we get it. Now you may be wondering, Lowko, what if we don't get 3,000 likes? Yeah, I will. Yeah. Yeah, I will still upload another one. Yeah, you got me. Yeah, you got me. I'm weak. I'm easily persuaded. I like posting videos. Oracle trying to swoop in, get a couple kills. I feel like he dives very deep. Okay, 4 kills is a lot better than 2. Some might even call it significantly better. Yeah, twice as good. Considering we've now had, 6 worker kills and every single Protoss unit is still alive, this is the type of opener that Protoss will be happy with. Let's see how much damage these adepts can do as well. We're gonna just settle for a creep tumor, or 2 for now. Forcing out 18 Zerglings basically also is -9 drones. Twilight Council and Forts on the back of this. So I think what Stats did in game number 1 is go double Fort specifically because his early game didn't really do anything. Now this early game is a whole lot better for him. Killing a few more workers. Okay. Target 1 drone? Yeah, 2 drones. Okay. So 7 workers here in total. No, what? Oh, Oracle swooped back in. Thought for a second there were more adepts. I was like, what? That makes no sense. Okay, 10 drones in total for 6 adepts, 16 Zerglings. This is the type of opener that Protoss will be quite happy with. You do have to defend the counterattack of the Zerglings. That was, obviously, they were overproduced here to try and stay alive. Where's the Oracles? Did we lose an Oracle? No. Okay. Well, this is about to get awkward. I think you should recall those Oracles. Or as Zerg players like to call it, recall. Yeah, this is... so close to being a great build, so close to being a perfect early game, and then it's a disaster. Losing 7 workers to the counterattack there when recall was available. We had energy on the Nexus. This one certainly had energy. Bit of a shame. You just need, like, the Oracles at home, activate the pulsar beam, you clean them up in a second. That suddenly makes the game a lot more even, and you know what? Apparently, once more, Elazer is skipping the Roach Warren. So Elazer is going straight into a Hydra Den, straight into a Bailing Nest, straight into a big Stasis Ward again. I don't think that one was intentional, but it is a bit of a deja vu from the previous game on Oceanborn. +1 charge, by the way, here for Stats. Double Forge right now. Templar Archives coming up, so this will be a follow-up with double upgrades, and what I would imagine is going to be Zealots together with Storm, although, no. We're not really going to put on any pressure. I mean, we may very well see some Zealots and some Storm, but it's not going to be an Archon all-in or anything along those lines. Instead, yeah, Stats is just macroing up. I think it's very dangerous, by the way, to skip the Roach Warren twice in a row. It can backfire very quickly. Oh. Battery overcharge to try and keep the Templar alive. Loses one of the Templar, though, to the Zerglings. 5 probes also full. Yeah, main issue right here, right, for Protoss is that now Zerg gets to do whatever they like. This is an easy opportunity for Zerg to go into whatever. You can go into Ultras, you can go into Mutas, you can go into, well, for example, a bunch of Banelings over here. You can go into Brute Lords, you can do whatever. And technically, Protoss can deal with everything, it's just easier said than done. Stats is very good defensively, he's been showing that as well so far in these games. But I always feel like this is giving a little bit too much wiggle room to the Zerg player. Because CEST is going to sit here. We're going to sit and then follow up the sitting with some more sitting. Last game, the game looked pretty competitive, but that was mostly due to the fact that Elazer didn't have enough larva. So that game got close in the end, but that was mostly a mistake from Elazer. And I would imagine he's not going to be making that same error again. "17 Banelings. Baneling speed is done. +1/+1 is finished for the Hydras and the Lynx. The storms are gonna have to be clean. There's a lot of surface area here. Zealot run by gets picked up before it gets underway. That's actually really nice here for Elazer. Does eat a big storm. Banelings coming in from the right side. Okay. Nicely done here by the Archon, bro. Look at this guy. Power overwhelming indeed. Doesn't care at all. Cool guys don't look at explosions. I feel like going for this exact same push multiple times in a row is a little iffy. Okay. Couple Banelings do sneak in. 12 probes just like that. Okay. These Banelings are gonna wake up in stasis, by the way. Or out of stasis here, rather, in just a moment. Misrally the Immortal should be an easy kill. These units are gonna insta-pop. Bunch of the Banes are gonna try and see if they can go down south. Those 12 worker kills make this worthwhile right here for Elazer, but if he wouldn't have gotten those, I think this actually could be quite bad for him. Yeah. Interesting player from Elazer. It seems like most of the top level Zergs don't really opt to go for Lingbane Hydra pushes. Instead, they transition towards, for example, Hive and Lurkers and all the rest of it. We've seen a bunch of variety as far as the late game goes, but Elazer forcing himself to sit around at Lair Tech and effectively just throw away wave after wave after wave of Hydra Lingbane. We're just gonna double down on the aggression here. So avoiding all late game play. Focusing on full mid game in general. Yeah. I wonder how effective this is. Like, I'm inclined to imagine, since none of the other high-level Zergs really play this style, that it's not very good. Like, this kind of strikes me as a strategy that could be really good on the ladder, right? This is one of those builds, probably, that works really well against players that are, yeah, maybe below the top 16 or so of Grandmaster League, but it also strikes me as one of those strats where if you go up against the top-level players, they'll be able to hold your aggression with minimal losses. That defense wasn't flawless by any means from stats. And he's still finding himself in a comfortable position right now. Problem is, if stats manages to max out, and we're gonna get there in about a minute, his army is gonna be nearly unstoppable. A mid-game Zerg army cannot deal with Archon Immortal, Zealot, Storm, and just mass amounts of units. Now, Elazer obviously has had a lot of income. But I've kind of got the feeling that the window here for Hydra Lingbane is closed. Nicely done right here. I really like the stasis wordplay from stats in this series. Getting a lot of value. The logical transition for Elazer would be Hive together with Lurkers, but he doesn't quite have the cash for that. So even though he's got way more income than his opponent throughout this game, the cost inefficiency of this army is just not really allowing him to. Oh, that's so good for Protoss. That's like 25 Banelings for one Archon. Look at that. Nearly twice as much gas lost by the Zerg player and like 5,000 minerals more. So 12 workers do not really give you enough of an income advantage to really justify that. Elazer's like, well, I know the solution to that. Let me make more drones. We're going up to 92 workers. Starts up to +2 missile, but no Hive track, none of that. He's really doubled down here. There's not going to be a Hive transition. CET could slow push for a 5th base. I think he'll probably go for an all-out attack. That's still obviously banelings being traded out for zealots, so gas units for units that only cause minerals. Stats will be happy with that. Now suddenly, yep, Protoss is carving a path straight up to the creep. There is an observer in the mix. There's no prism out on the map, so it'll be a little difficult to reinforce this. But look at this. As soon as the army of Protoss manages to take a straight up fight against the Zerg, Zerg just gets wiped off the map. Only problem here for Sets is that he could overextend. He's got a lot of resources in the bank. He should probably be warping in. He's got 11 gateways. Okay, well, apparently he doesn't need to. GG is cold. It'll be Stats who evens up the score. That means it will all come down to this. We find ourselves in Ghost River? We find ourselves on Ghost River. Final game in this best of 5. What can we do? I've got a feeling that Elazer's playstyle in the mid game has been figured out at this point. I think Stats has got a very good understanding of what to expect. If Elazer decides to go for the same build effectively 3 games in a row, and he wanted to do it as well earlier on in the series, I think Stats is going to have an easier and easier time to counter it. So I think Elazer will pretty much be forced to mix it up here. But what exactly are your options? Well, we do find ourselves on Ghost River. Seen quite a bit of Swarm Host play on this map. You could, for example, even go Mutas if you really want to. I wouldn't mind just seeing some straight up late game macro, but I think Elazer is not too confident playing that right now, or at the very least I'm getting that vibe from the way that he is refusing to transition towards any sort of late game Zerg. It's funny because the other top level Zerg seem to all be focused on getting to the hive tech as quickly as possible. Because Adrenal Glands is so good, +3 is so powerful. Vipers in general, incredibly handy. But with the strategy that Elazer has gone for, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. You really just want to try and hammer home your Hydroling Bane army. But at some point it just sort of, it doesn't work out anymore, you know? Like, it's very powerful initially, but then as time goes by, it just gets weaker over time. As long as Stats' economy is good enough and his army grows, at some point Hydroling Bane just falls off. So, it'll be a Stargate opener once again. You guys want to see a magic trick? Look at this. It'll be an Oracle. I've got a feeling it'll be an Oracle for sure. Yep, there it is. Sick magic trick, right? Suddenly, Oracle. Almost out. How did I do it? A good magician never tells his tricks. No. It'll not be shared publicly. Operation Seawall. Show me the money. Was it one of those? No. Oracle goes in. He blocked the natural expansion from the Zerg, so killing drones in that base is a little tricky. Flies the Oracle to the Zerg's natural. Finds out that the Zerg natural is not yet done. Yeah, I'm assuming it will be triple... Ooh, alright. I'm assuming it'll be triple Oracle again. He's diving very deep with these Oracles for very little. Yeah, I really dislike that. 3 drones, 1 Oracle down, 1 at half health. That's actually pretty terrible. No double forts this time, though. So that's curious. Seemed to me like his comeback mechanic. Now his Adepts in the middle of the map also get surrounded. Okay, so this would be a perfect opportunity for like a queen drop or something along those lines. This Protoss early game is looking like nothing. Quick Twilight Council and forts though. So I have to see what the build order is going to be. I'm assuming Blink? Blink just makes the most sense here in my mind, but yep. Robo facility on the back of this. Now we do go for a Roach Warren. Okay. If we go OV speed right now, it's technically possible, but I don't think Elazer is going to play it. No. How many queens does he have? He's got 6 queens. I think queen drops are actually very dangerous. It hits so hard on this map in particular, and Protoss just had a very suboptimal early game. Now the Oracles will be recalled home. Well, they'll get recalled to the main base. And you know what? Previously, we had a very similar attack, kill like 7 probes and all of the adepts. Now it looks like every unit took a bit of a beating, but none of them died. Those shields will obviously be regenerated. So ultimately, this is actually still pretty good for stats. Elazer committing very hard there, achieving very little. He did not go for the Evo Chamber upgrades yet. Instead, it's straight roach speed, but no upgrades. A lot of Overlords coming up, so I'm assuming we'll see maybe like an infestation pit into swarm hosts? Because that's a lot of Overlords. No drones for the 4th base yet either. Are we just gonna make mass roach? Is this just a roach max out? I think that's... he's making more Overlords. Yeah, I think it's just a roach max. So, Stats is looking at the other side of the map, and he's making photon cannons right now. I think Stats has got a very good understanding. So it will indeed be a queen drop in the end, but a very delayed version of it. This is going to be a roach push. Mostly just roaches here. And then a bunch of queens to come across. We'll probably see Ravagers with some leftover gas, but the 4th base is mostly decorative. Good read right there from Stats, though. The fact that he started up those photons ahead of time, I don't think you go 4th Nexus Stats. I mean, I said that last time, but there's like... 0... Oh, oh, he forgot Overlord speed! Oh! Oh, that's awkward. He bought a Ferrari, but it didn't have an engine. Yeah, that sucks, man. This is why you don't buy a Ferrari on your Facebook marketplace, dude. I think. I don't know. Do they sell those on there? Probably. People sell anything on there. Yeah, this is awkward. So the push has been delayed. The surprise has been spoiled. Overlord speed finished up right now as the queens are unloading. Is there still enough Zerg? This reporter can only guess no. Alright, no, I'm not Donnie Vermillion. Or am I? Maybe. Arkham goes down. Immortal production has to be on point. I mean, it's a lot of Zerg. Very significant supply advantage right now. Elazer has a bunch of money in the bank. Zealots do charge forward. Immortals try to see whatever they can attack. Okay, queens are microed forward once again. Shield battery overcharge would be massive. Yep, he activates it right now, but honestly, he didn't even really need it. Double immortal production is going hard, man. As long as he keeps these immortals alive, he's gonna be practically immortal himself. Yeah, that's my backup plan in the late game of IRL. I'm gonna be immortal too. Oh, we do have to micro them though. Honestly, just the immortal DPS here is insane. Yeah, he holds that. Okay, so we end up with effectively an even economy. And obviously the cost efficiency is always in favor of the Protoss. So when you have the same economy, the same level of income, this is going to become an advantage here for Stats over time. So previously it was about a 60 supply lead for Elazer. I mean, he still needs to be careful he doesn't get surrounded. Nicely done, though, by Stats. He's darting pretty far forward here with his army. It makes me a little nervous, but... Brenda took the Lambo back home. The Bugatti. This one does have an engine now. Okay, and now we have to make the awkward transition. Double evolution chamber. Baneling Nest coming up. This is Elazer saying, okay, don't attack me. I'm busy teching up. No, don't attack me. I'm getting changed right now. All right, so it'll be a while. It'll be a while until all of that will kick in for the Zerg player. Sets did not yet make the 4th. I think I would like a transition towards Swarm Host a lot better. Because this is gonna take ages before it really gets underway. And I'm a little afraid that Elazer is gonna lose the game before that point. Then again, Swarmos are also kind of terrible, so... he's put himself in this position. For now, Stats mostly using his army as a giant way to vacuum up some of the creep. Zealots did lose the fight against the Lings. Okay, this is... it's ambitious. I don't see this this going through that wall of Protoss particularly well, but maybe. Stats may actually stumble upon it if he's lucky. We're all the way up to 8 Immortals. 4th base or 5th base for the Zerg coming up. No Baneling speed yet though. So, I mean, nah, no way. Super expensive. Storm is going to finish up in about a minute. Substantial power spike for, of course, the Protoss army. Okay. So Elazer may actually be able to make this transition work. It's still a while away. But it looks like we are getting there in the end. Storm is really good though. It's also because Stats doesn't really like to commit to an all-in of his own. He likes to play this slow and steady. Trying to cut off the roaches right now. Hello, careful Stats. Don't move command too far. Storm is done right now. There's a Stormy. Couple of Stormies. Not bad. Can we make a prism? Okay, we do have one. Yeah, finally shows up. I feel like this is a surprisingly awkward way to engage Stats, but... we're donating a couple of units here to the Zerg player. Very, very far forward as well with that War Prism siege. Ay, ay, ay. $16 roaches, just about to hatch. Elazer once more maxed out, this time around on a much stronger army than previous. Stats is sitting at a good number of resources of his own. Getting the Biles right here on the Immortals is nice. On the Prism would be even better. I think that's what these Ravagers are looking for. But the straight up fight here on these Immortals. My god, Stats is using those Immortals like they are actually immortal. He does know that they're not actually immortal, right? Dude, that's so much damage coming out of these dudes. They're hitting so hard. Just like that. Stats manages to bring it back. And he wins the series 3-2 over Elazer. It's so funny to me how Stats plays hyper defensively most of the game. And then when there's an opportunity to attack, right? When he first cleaned up the Roach Queen push, he decides to sit back for the most part. But then, as he gets to this awkward transition, right? He just finishes up Storm. That's when he pulls the trigger and he fights in one of the most, well, confusing ways possible. I've got a feeling that could have actually gone pretty terribly wrong for him. But in the end, it works out for him. It'll be our Protoss, who wins this series 3-2.